everyone. Today we are going to read a cool, quirky read which Catchy Cassidy commented. The title is Fantasy Fashion from the series Totally Lucy, written by Kelly McKain. My Totally Secret Journal by Lucy Jessica Hartley. L plus J plus T equals BFF. SD is the prime of Pilocadam. No, quite funny and okay. J and I love DB. Shh. Hey girls, Meg is fab. Wow, is it really January the 22nd? Already? Hi girls! Lucy Jessica Hartley is back. I haven't written anything for a while because I've been hanging out so much with my BFF Jules and Tilda. BFF is short for Best Friends Forever, BTW. BTW is English for by the way, BTW. Anyway, all my time went kapoof. And plus, my old journal had run out of pages and I didn't want to start this new one till I had something totally fabulissimo to tell you. But I have to start it now because the most unbelievably amazing thing has happened. I was just lying on my bed eating some Whatsits and reading my new Hey Girls mag that I get through the door on Saturdays, and I found this. Hey girls, create an outrageous fantasy fashion outfit. Let your imagination run wild and come up with a truly original outfit that will wow the fashion world. Our lucky winner will be whisked off to London to spend the afternoon with the top designer, Stella Boyd. You will get to see Stella at work and pick up plenty of tips for your future career. You will also win 2 tickets to Stella's show, which is part of the world-famous London Fashion Week. So get thinking, scribbling and sewing now! Hey girls, go for it! Closing date for entries is the 3rd of February. Stella Boyd is one of her creations. Doesn't she look fab? Now, this is most unbelievably amazing because it is right up my street. I mean that as is in the saying, up my street, like as in being really, really perfect for me, not like up my actual street, which is these little terraces housed where you can hear our neighbor birds coughing and going burr hoor 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 through the wall. That's what old men sound like when a Werther's original is getting stuck in their windpipe. BTW. So, anyway, this comp is perfect for me because my one ambition is to be a real, actual fashion designer. Not many people know that, so shh. Maybe I can win it and that will start me off on the road to fame and fortune. Which is another saying and not an actual road either. How weird. Then, if you zoom 10 years forward into the future, where I am a famoso designer, you could pick up a magazine in the dentist or whatever and flip through and you will find this. Lucy Jessica Hartley's rise to fame and fortune. How did this woman rise to the top of the fashion world? Lucy relaxing at home. Lucy Jessica Hartley hasn't always enjoyed a jet-setting lifestyle and the devoted love of her boyfriend, the famous and gorgeous actor known simply as Dog Boy. In fact, when she was 12, Lucy, her brother Alex, then 8, and her mother Sue, age withheld, were cruelly abandoned by Lucy's father. But Lucy bravely and resistantly in the face of this tragedy, made her stronger as a person, like in those girl power type songs. Anyway, Lucy and her father get on well now, as he is an international rock star and she often designs the outfits for his music videos. When she is not creating one of dresses for actresses like Julia Roberts, but whoever it is in 10 years' time, Lucy enjoys hanging out with her BFF, Julieta Garcia Perez Benodiciazo, the girl international cool girl and Dutch babe Tilda van Deswaan, who is well known for her charity work with the homeless or something like that. Lucy says of her success, people think being a fashion designer is easy, but it's not all about going to parties and eating those little pastry things you get with prawns in. It's not even just about having fabulously big you know what, although I do. There's a lot of hard work as well, but it's all worthwhile as I've fulfilled my life's ambition. And at this point, Lucy looks at her watch and puts down her free cocktail. You know the kind that has a cherry on a stick and a little umbrella in it? Oh, blimey, is that the time? She says huskily. Sorry, but I have to go, 'cause I am off on a holiday to Barbados with my darling dog boy. So, as Lucy heads for a sun-drenched beach, we wait in London with like mega excitement for her next collection. So that will be in the future. Well, maybe not the big you know what bit. That will take a holy miracle. But the fashion designer bit and the dog boy bit. Oh, hang on, you must be thinking, what is that dog boy bit actually? But that's because I forgot to say about him. I write it in code, just in case any boys are reading. Unlikely, but H. Cirque, Tarsus, him, C. Yop, dog. Dog boy is my secret crush. I've seen Dog Boy walking his dog in the little park at the end of my street. My actual street. I mean, not just the saying. But by a spooky coincidence, he is actually also up my street, as in the saying, because he is trendy and looks gorge. I think he is the same age as me, but he doesn't go to my school, or I would have noticed. He must go to King Alfred's because that is where all the gorge boys go, and only the rejected ones are in my class at Tambridge High. Just in case you didn't really find my journal, where I said about the boys in my class, I should tell you that they are all from the kingdom of Nerdonia, except maybe Ben Jones and Bill Critz and Jamie Cousins. The worst one is this boy, Simon Driscoll, who I like to call the Prince of Pillogdom. He has these geeky minions who follow him around, and mainly they just go to computer club, but sometimes they hang around near me and go on about this embarrassing incident that happened at school disco in November. Basically, it was when Simon Driscoll tried to snug me with tongues, and I shouted out about how the only person who I will be snugging with tongues will be JJ, who is called Juan Jos, Garcia Perez Benedictino, and who is Jules Stress, Lush older brother, and everyone heard. Thankfully, I am cured of fancying JJ now though, because he is still going out with Susanna with the big you-know-whats. I have been patiently waiting. For my own ones to grow, but to be honest, they are taking their time. What was I saying this for? Oh yeah, I call my secret crush dog boy because I don't know his name yet. Ha 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 ha. Evil genius laugh. I am doing that laugh because I have a top secret plan to get to know dog boy. I want to talk to him and find out his name and that. But most of all, I want him to be my boyfriend and kiss me so that I will have a proper first kiss and not just an embarrassing incident that was more like having my face sucked off by a denominator. So here is the pooch plan. Ta-da! 1. Borrow a dog. 2. Put on a fab outfit and take the borrowed dog to the park. 3. Borrowed dog and me hang out near dog boy and do the following canon human bonding stuff. Dog walking cutely to heel, dog fetching a stick, me and dog bounding across the grass, just reveling in the joy of being alive, like on those color enhancing shampoo ads. Then this will happen. 4. Oh, that girl is fably stylish and totally dog loving like me, and is also just reveling in the joy of being alive, like in those color enhancing shampoo ads. I know, I'll ask her out and give her a kiss. That is not like having her face sucked off by Demonter. Five. Then this. Mwah! Et voila! From pooch to smooch in 5 easy steps. So fingers crossed, I can borrow Hombrito, Jules' dog, because the Garcia Perez Benedictarian family are off to España tomorrow to visit their relatives Cristobal and Carlita and about 49 cousins called Wally tongues, Spanish things I can't remember. Jules is getting time off school for it too. So unfair. BTW. It's also so unfair that Jules has already been 13 for 80 days when I have to wait 210 entire days to be it. Even Tilda's birthday is before mine. I suppose when we were 84 in our rocking chairs, I will be happy to be the youngest. But not now. I am going to ask Tilda and Jules round to be my models for when I'm designing my fantasy fashion competition outfit. And that's when I'll offer to look after Hombrito. Mom has said okay to this. She wasn't sure at first, but then I reminded her I have wanted a dog ever since I put the Barbie shoes in Dad's pants. We'll explain later. So then she let me. Hee hee. This way I will get Dog Boy for my boy and be a great mate to Jules. Fab, huh? Gotta go and phone the girls. Bye! Still Saturday, after phoning Tilda and Jules. So, when I rang up, Jules was busy on her campaign to persuade her mom to let her get her belly button pierced. Still a big no, which is the same in Spanish as English. Plus, Tilda's dad said she had to do 1 hour's piano practice because she was allowed out. But they both eventually managed to come round and help me with my fantasy fashion design. Jules brought loads of her clothes along for inspiration, which would have been great if I wanted to make something black and webby and creepy. Jules is a god rock chick. I actually don't, but it's the choice that counts. Anyways, I did loads of designs. I drew them all quickly, swishy like fashion designers really do, and Jules and Tilda were going, wow. Some of the pics were a bit strange with the arms being too long or whatever, but mainly they were okay, so I have stuck to them in. Not sure about this. Is black the new pink? Is pink the new black? Guess who thought of this one? This is my fave. We got out my material and I tried different ways of draping it over Tilda and Jules. We all had a laugh and they were giggling and pretending to be statues, i.e. not moving. And I was trying to push them over and in the end we all fell down in a big heap. So then, when we were all just lying there after falling over, I asked Jules about looking after Humberto. She said she wasn't sure because Mrs. Next Door was meant to be having him, but she rang her dad on her mobile to ask, and then when he rang back, she did the thumbs up, meaning yes. Tilda peered at me all suspiciously and said, "But why do you want a dog, Lucy? I didn't know you were a dog person." I don't want to tell the girls about the pooch plan yet, because it will be more wow when it's happened, and we have a sleepover or something. Then Jules will go, "Who wants a Coke?" And I will go, "Me please," and BTW. I have this gorge boyfriend called Dog Boy, and I want a proper first kiss that did not involve the Prince of Pilikodom or his horrible slimy tongue. And Jules and Tilda will do that staring and blinking thing. This will be cool because I have always wanted an air of mystery. I'm really excited about having Humberto, even if I am not normally an actual dog person. Anyways, maybe I am an actual dog person inside, because when I was a kid, I used to go on and mom and dad about getting a dog, but they always said no. I get their point now because they were both working really hard all the time. So it wouldn't be being fair on it. At the time though, I didn't get the point at all, which is why I hid the plastic shoes from my Princess Barbie in my dad's pants. Ouch. In fact, I remember one day when Mom was going out and said, "Where?" And she said, "I'm going to see a man about a dog." I got mega excited because I thought we were finally getting one, but then it turned out that was also just a phrase like "up my street," except meaning mind your own business, basically. So I was really sad that I didn't get one, but then my Nan, Delia, Nan doesn't like me, and Alex, to call her Nan because it makes her feel old, gave me my sewing machine and showed me all about the different stitches and how to design my own stuff and how to measure up and cut up patterns and that. So after that, I forgot about getting a dog. But now I have the chance to have one, even if it is just a borrowed one for a little while. And it is going to be so cool. Anyway, I'm probably going on again. Tilda and Jules reckon I do that quite a lot. Okay, so then we picked ourselves up and went downstairs and got some Wotsits and Coke. Plus, Jules had a cheese sandwich, which she usually does at my house. "So which design are you going to choose?" asked Tilda. I went, "I'm not sure. Some of them are pretty cool, but the competition said about being original, and I don't think any of them are massively." Went Tilda thinking. Munch munch when Jules eating. Then suddenly it was like kapoof, and I got this amazing idea, which was to not make a skirt or top or dress, but to invent something totally and utterly different and original. I told Tilda and Jules about it, and they got really excited too. "You will have to make up a completely new name for it, like a snoogle," said Jules, "and people in the future will be like, 'Hey Jude, can I borrow your snoogle?' And 'Yeah,' cried Tilda, and people will eat too much cake and then say, 'I have to go on a diet because my favorite snoogle doesn't fit me anymore.'" And Jules looked all narrowed-eyed at Tilda and said, "Hello, I'm still talking." And Tilda went bright red. Jules gets in a mood a lot because she is all Spanishly fiercely and passionate. Plus, it was only me and Jules since primary school up till about 2 months ago, and it's taking her a bit of time to get used to being a 3 with Tilda, which we have been since the makeover plans. Another ace plan of mine that worked brilliantly, just like the pooch plan is going to. So I asked Jules what she was going to say, but she just went, nothing specified, but that's not the point. So then they both went home with Jules still being a bit moody and Wayne left all alone with my sketchbook to invent a completely new sort of clothes, which is not an easy job, I can tell you, but I came up with a few ideas. Funkini, Starbuster, Quill Cape, Fantasia. I'm going to go for the Fantasia because Dahlia's job is making costumes for strictly ballroom dances. So she's given me loads of bits of lycra and sequins and beads, and that for free. I'm also using my feather boa as part of it and some of the bracelets I tend to make. So now I just need to plan out the best way to make it and that. But first I'm going downstairs because someone came in about 10 minutes ago. I have to find out who it is because of my natural curiosity. Still in actual fact, Saturday. Well, I didn't think I was writing anymore today because I wanted to work on my design for the fantasy fashion comp. And also there's a triple bill of Friends repeats which I am right now missing. But something so horrible just happened. I can't get it out of my head. Maybe if I write it down, it will go into this journal instead and I will feel spiritually better. The person downstairs was Dad. He is not normally in our house since he cruelly abandoned us. Me and Alex normally go round to Uncle Ken's to see him because that's where he lives now. In fact, the last time he was here was to get his guitar out of the loft, and that was about 2 months ago. He was sitting on the table having coffee with Mom. For 1 second, I thought, yippee! They are getting back together. But I only thought so far that single second because of what happened next. The look on Mom's face was not romantic at all, but tight-lipped, like when my dad used to cut his toenails in the hallway and let the bits fly everywhere. So I didn't go in, but I stayed around the corner in the hall and listened. Mom went, I'm just saying that you gave up a perfectly good job without even thinking about how you were going to make a living. You're not 21 anymore, and you've got responsibilities, like child support, for example. You can't expect me to cope on my own with all the bills and everything, and Lucy and Alex are starting to need more things. Now they're getting older, like the kit for Alex's karate and Lucy's materials for her sewing. I thought it was really sweet when Mom said that, because she was thinking of me and Alex first, even though she got cruelly abandoned as well. She said that stuff to Dad in her really quiet, cold voice. She only uses it once in a blue moon, another weird phrase. And it's way worse than her shouty kind of angry. Dad got all huffy then and went, oh, don't be such a martyr. Shoo, I'll sort it out. All I'm asking for is some time to get back on my feet. It would help if you could just be a little bit patient instead of nagging me. Mom said, but it's just you. You've got to sort out. I'm the one left to deal with 2 kids. Obviously, she was really upset. Or she would have said 1 kid and 1 very nearly teenager. Anyway, then she went, and don't talk to me about patience. You've had 4 months. I wish you at least had some idea of what you are doing to do, because this situation is wearing very thin. She meant wearing thin as in Dad was on thin ice, but instead of realizing it and being nice, he went, this is so typical of you. And then he stood up, and she stood up, and the shouting started, and I knew I was going to have to be the mature and sensible one. So I went in and said, Mom, you obviously don't realize that Dad is actual fact knows what he wants to do, which is be a rock and roll star. Mom did this kind of snort thing which made Dad look really tasty. Thanks, Lucy, but I didn't know that, she said. It's just not very likely, isn't it? I mean, your father is 40 this year. But there are loads of rocking wrinkles, I said. Dad frowned at me, which was weird, because I was in actual fact standing up for him. He went, thanks, Lou, but most of the rocking wrinkles, as you so kindly put in, started about 20 years ago, which is why shoo. He said all narkily, I have thought of something else to do in the music industry, and that's what I came around to tell you. I'm glad you're here, Lou, because you need to hear this as well. Cool, I said, getting all excited for him. What is it? Dad was staring at the table. I've been offered a job as a roadie for a band, he said quietly. That's amazing! Well done, I yelled, throwing my arms around him. That's almost as cool as being a rock star itself. And hey, I can be a roadie's daughter and get to be in music videos, and how cool would that be, Mom? But when I looked up, Mom was not in tight-lippedness anymore. Instead, she was looking at me really sadly. You do know what a roadie does, don't you, Lou? She went. Sure. He or she, I added, because of a girl power, helps out the band and stuff setting up equipment. I thought it was weird she didn't even know that. But do you know where? I thought, wow, she really doesn't know much about at all, does she? Well, when that does it, it'll be in the town, obviously, I explained. Like at the Crown or Thursday nights and when bands come to the art center and the corn exchange. Mom looked like she was going to cry. I can't believe you've put me in this position in front of our daughter, she went to my dad. Then she took my hand in a way that she hasn't done since I was 8. And she had to tell me my budgie had died because actually they don't eat chops chewy like I thought. Lucy, darling, she said, a roadie travels with bands and sets things up, like you said, but it's all over the country. It could even be all over the world. Your dad will be away all the time. I blinked at her. She'd obviously got it wrong because maybe it was different in the days of the Beatles and that. She loved them, and that's why she called me Lucy, after Lucy in the Sky, with diamonds, must learn to spell that. Which is this crazy song about this girl who has kaleidoscope, not even going to try and spell it right, eyes, whatever they are, but I'm only going on about the Beatles because I can hardly stand to write down what happened next. I looked at Dad for him to tell me, Mom, that she was wrong, but he just stared into his coffee as if there was some rare and fascinating bug floating in it. Then she said, yes, love, I'm afraid it means I will be away for a year or two, but I'll phone all the time and I can't write what he said next, 'cause I didn't hear it. I suddenly felt like I was going to be sick. So I had to run upstairs and lock myself in the bathroom. I cried and cried. And I wouldn't come out even though Mom said through the door that she'd make me macaroni cheese. This is so not fair. I've only just got used to Dad living down the road at Uncle Ken's, manky flat and not here, and now he is going to cruelly abandon me even more by going far away for ages and ages. Then I remembered that Alex didn't even know, and I thought how upset he would be, and that made me start crying again, because even though he is a squirty little bro, it's his dad too, eventually. I got really hungry, and I started thinking less about that, and more about macaroni cheese. When I came out, Mom asked me if I wanted to talk about it, and I just shook my head because I was too sad to even speak. Amazing for me. Then Jill, Matthew's mom, brought Alex back from the karate. And when he was washing his hands for dinner, Mom quickly said to me, "Let's not mention this to your brother until it's all defined, Lou, because your dad has a lot of dreams that don't happen and there's no point upsetting Alex if we don't have to." So I didn't say anything to Alex, but instead I ate my tea pretending everything was okay. And then I came upstairs, and that's where I am now, writing this. Of course, I'm afraid of Dad going and what it'll be like, but I'm even more afraid about something else, which I have to write down here because I don't think I can even tell Tilda and Jules about it. The truth is, I'm afraid that he'll like being a roadie so much he'll never come back. Still, I have to be strong and an independent woman, like those shake your booty girls sing about in R&B songs, because there will always be some adversity happening in life. I am going to work really hard on my fantasy fashion design, and tomorrow I am going to do the pooch plan, because then I will be a famous fashionista and have a gorgeous boy. So it won't matter so much that Dad has gone. Hey, I know I'm also going to make a list of dangerous things that can happen to roadies, just so Dad can be prepared for the advertising that will probably happen when he's on tour, because he's not quite streetwise compared to me. Sunday night, the 23rd of January, in my bedroom and also in total embarrassment. Well, Humberto has only been here 5 hours and he is already in the doghouse, as in the saying, as in he has been a very bad boy. So what happened was, hang on, actually you will have to wait because I have just written in a letter to readers, most embarrassing moments, which is in Hey Girls magazine, and I'm too tired to write it out again. It's far too shame-making to write twice. I'll wait and see if I get a reply from Hey Girls first. Humberto doesn't seem to get that he is in big trouble because he is being as bad as ever. For example, right at this moment, he is sitting on the floor by my bed doing hideous dog parps and chewing the microphone from my karaoke set. So, sorry if this page smells bad. Monday. But I mean as in 1 week, later on the 31st. Hey girls! Friday, the 28th of January. Dear Lucy, thank you for your recent letter to readers' most embarrassing moments. Unfortunately, we only published letters of under 100 words. Yours was 716. Please feel free to write again, more briefly, when something equally or even more embarrassing happens. You are only 12. Believe me, it will. Kind regards, Alicia Short, editor. P.S. Your original letter is enclosed. Ugh. So much for sympathy from my fave Meg. Still, at least she sent me my letter back, so now you can read about my most embarrassing moment. Dear Hey Girls magazine, I am an avid reader of your readers' most embarrassing moments page. I actually had a most embarrassing moment myself last term when this gross boy tried to snug me with tongues at a school disco. But I didn't write it about that even though it was utterly horrible. But I have to write it about this new thing that happened because it is way worse even than being snugged by the Prince of Pillowdom. So anyway, I had this plan to borrow my friend's dog to get to know this boy in the park, who is my secret crush, and who I have codenamed Dog Boy. My friend, who is called Julieta Garcia Perez Benediccionario, Jules for short, just went away on holiday, and so today I got her dog called Hombrito to look after. So when I was in the park and Dog Boy was watching, I put my plan into action. While instead of Hombrito walking cutely to heel, he splashed into an icy mud puddle and then jumped all over me. But that was not the most embarrassing thing. When the walking to heel didn't work, I quickly went on to part 2 of my plan, which was making Hombrito fetch a stick. I thought it was going well because Hombrito ran after the stick, and I was going, "Good boy, fetch!" But then he just kept on going past the stick and miles away, over the grass, and I thought he was going to run into the road, so I had to go tearing after him shouting, "Bad boy, stop!" But that was not the most embarrassing thing either. So when I dragged Humberto back over near to Dog Boy, I was too puffed out to do part 3 of my plan. Which was me and Humberto reveling in the joy of being alive like those girls in the color enchanting shampoo ads. Plus, I had a red face and a stitch. I sat down on a bench and I thought Dog Boy would be busy having a good laugh about that weird doofy girl, i.e. me, when the most amazing of amazing things happened. He actually came and sat down next to me. "That's a lovely dog," he said. "Yeah, like not," I said back, and then I remembered that I was being a dog person, so I quickly went, he's a nightmare sometimes, but I love him a lot." Dog Boy's pooch is a Labrador. It was sitting quietly by his feet, chewing on a fake stick and looking adorable. I wanted Humberto to come and sit quietly by my feet and look adorable too, but he was busy doing a wee up the side of a tree. Then he did come over, but instead of sitting down, he crouched by our feet, sort of quivering with this weird concentrating look on his face. It wasn't as cute as the Labrador, but at least he was making an effort, so I patted him on the head. But then I found out that he was making an effort, but only to go to the toilet. And then, even worse, a bit of it went on Dog Boy's trainer. Eek! I was going to Dog Boy, "Oh, sorry. And then I had to put it in the plastic bag, with the bag over my hand, I have to tell you, and in the dog bin. I didn't realize it would be warm, and it was the most utterly disgusting thing I have ever had to do. And it has so put me off being a dog person. I bet Dog Boy's perfect Labrador never poos, or even if he does, he is probably so well trained, he goes to the actual loo. The pooch plan had turned into the poo plan. So I was mortified, which means being so embarrassed, you in actual fact want to die. So I did the only thing possible, which was grab Humberto and run away. And that is the whole story of my reader's most embarrassing moment. I have to go now, because I am entering your fantasy fashion comp, and I have a lot of work to do on my design. Your most embarrassedly, Lucica Jessica Hartley. Monday lunchtime at school. I haven't written in here for a few days, apart from sticking the "Hey girls" letter in this morning because I've been so busy with everything. But I brought my journal to school to try and catch up with recent happenings. I am quickly writing this before the bell goes for the end of lunch because Jules is still away and Tilda is at her piano lesson. I'm whipped out because I've been so busy making the shift and cutting the layers for my facety fashion design. But I am stuck on how to hem the points, so I am shortly phoning Delia, for advice. This is what it looks like so far. Basic shift in cotton hemmed up the sides. This is the base which the layers go on. Points. How do I hem these? Also, I have been working on my dangerous things that can happen to roadies list. Here's what I've got so far. Dangerous things that can happen to roadies. 1. Squashed, splat by fans trying to climb over you to get to the rock stars. 2. Squashed, splat by your own equipment lorry. 3. Squashed, splat by the tour bus. 4. Squashed, splat just by a general passing vehicle. 5. Eardrums explode due to feedback while setting up speakers. Bang! 6. Piece of lightning rig falls down on your head. 7. Piece of lightning rig falls down and narrowly misses your head, but as it hits the stage, it makes a drumstick roll over to hit and under your foot, and you slip and dislocate a vertebra. Vertebra is medical language for the knobbly bit of your spine. BTW, not a French green bra. Spontaneous human combustion happens when you suddenly burst into flames for no reason. At least these things have taken my mind off the disaster of the pooch plan, but sadly they have made me get even more behind with my homework too. In a minute, we have to go to a careers talk with my favorite teacher, not Mr. McKain. I'm not sure why he would be giving a talk about careers because teaching is not his true calling. Instead, I bet you anything he wanted to be in the army, where they all wear uniforms so smart you can see your face in your boots. Also, in the army things are so clean you can eat your dinner off them. To pretend he is fulfilling his true calling of being a sergeant major, Mr. McKain spent every break time marching around being the school uniform police. Because I am a groovy fashion goddess. I try to do interesting things with my uniform, and this is why Mr. McKain is not my #1 fan. In fact, here he comes now, and I've got eyeshadow on, and nail varnish, and a stunned bout around my skirt by mistake, so hang on. I'm just going to run around to the little doorway at the back of the art room. Phew. You'll never catch me here. Ha 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 ha. Evil genius laugh. But anyway, before the careers talk, I'm going to tell you something really secret. Now this is very, very incredibly secret. And if Jules ever read it, she'd kill me into pulverizing deadness. With no further opportunities for living ever. The thing is, while even though I love having Jules around, it's been quite nice spending a few days without her, especially because I've got all this stuff to do to my fashion design. When she's here, everything is big and loud and buzzy and colorful, which I like usually, but sometimes it makes me want to go home and have a big sleep. Or I just feel like sneaking up to the library and reading a book about something really dull and calming, like the life cycle of pond insects. It's also good without Jules here, because Tilda on her own is more fun. I guess because she's not on Tinderhooks? Whatever they are, waiting for Jules to say something mean to her. Oh no, the bell's going and I still have to go to the loos and wipe off the eyeshadow that accidentally got on me at first break. When we were practicing doing modelish poses in the mirror, we had so much fun. I told Tilda that if I won the fantasy fashion comp, she could have the extra ticket to come to London with me. She looked at me all happy but scared, and I realized why when she said, "But what about Jules?" Secretly inside I thought, eek! But publicly I said, I went, "Oh, that's okay. She said she's not into it going anyway." So Tilda was happy about that, because she didn't know it was a little white lie. And that just for a second I got carried away, and I forgot to think about Jules. Then Tilda put some frosty pink eyeshadow out of her groovy makeup set on me, which is how it got there. Tilda's dad bought the makeup set for her, actually amazing, because he used to be totally strict and treated her like a little kid. But after the makeover plan, where I helped her transform into a Dutch babe extraordinaire, he is starting to get that 12 is actually a massively grown-up age. It's very nearly a teenager. Isn't it weird how when you start off being a teenager, you're at school and when you finish being one, you could have your belly button pierced and your own flat and a job and a car and you can drink and even be married. My mom's reading this book where it says the teenage years are the most exciting and invigorating time in parenting. She's not convinced, though, and reckons she might just lock me in a cupboard till I'm 18 and be done with it. I said she would have to feed me on raw lasagne sheets, as they are the only thing that would fit under the door. Like this. Oops, just forgot about the bell and the makeup removing. Gotta go. Still Monday, but after school and after a very annoying thing happened. Can you believe Mr. Kane made me write this and then he didn't even read it? I tried to give it in for him to mark at the end of detention, but he just went, the object of the exercise, Miss Hartley. I don't know why he keeps calling me Miss Hartley, like I am a Victorian or something, was to make you think about your typical conduct in the hall this afternoon, not to give me extra work to do. Then he sat back and looked all spiritually wise, so I told him his tie wasn't on straight. I know it totally freaked him out because when I left the room, I saw him checking it in the under 40s rugby cup. So anyway, I am sticking this in here so you can read it at least. I have even put a box so you can give me a mark. Why I Must Learn to Control Myself. An essay by Lucy Jessica Hartley. Form AP. First, I must learn to control myself because I got into the hall a teeny weeny bit late. All the classes in our year were joining together for the careers talk, and I just had to quickly climb over a few people to get sitting next to Tilda. So I must learn to control myself by stopping writing in my journal when I hear the bell. Then, when I sat down, you, Mr. Kane, said, "Do feel free to take your time, Miss Hartley, and when you're quite ready and you've removed that extraneous belt, we'll begin." Extraneous? Huh? Thanks, sir, I said back. I was pleaded because you are not normally that nice to me, because of you being the school uniform police. And me being your arch nemesis, the fashion guru of the school. So you talked about different things we could do to be active and useful members of society and how important getting an education is and how that even means you, Danny Jacobs, despite the fact that you have spent the majority of my talk rummaging in your left ear. See how attentively I was listening, sir? I even remembered which side ear you said. Then you asked us to put our hands up and tell you our ideas for what we wanted to do when we left the school. So the next thing is that I must learn to control myself and not put my hand up when you ask a question. The reason I did it was because you were nice about waiting for me to sit down, but I should have sat on my hands because when I waved them in the air, you saw the purple nail varnish. So you said, "Just one hand will do, Mrs. Hartley." BTW, why do you call me that when I am a modern girl? And please remove that nail polish before you come in tomorrow. But you still asked me to say my answer, and so I went. I want to be a real, proper fashion designer. So you raised your eyebrow. In that way, that means not likely. And in fact, you should have controlled yourself from doing that, because then I would not have had to shout, which is another thing where I must learn to control myself. So I went all red and yelled, "I can do it, and I will show you by winning the fantasy fashion competition in my Hey Girls magazine." Mr. Kane, I know you didn't like that because everyone laughed and clapped and Augusta Rinaldi's lot started chanting, go Lucy, which is a breakdown in discipline, making you have to raise your other eyebrow to restore order. And also, I know you think the world would be neater if everyone wore a school uniform for their whole life, but that's just because you have an unfulfilled ambition to be a sergeant major. Well, I'm going to fulfill my ambition of being a famoso fashion designer and prove you wrong. And then you'll have to take back that raised eyebrow you did and say sorry to me. Anyways, the last reason I must learn to control myself is so I don't get detention when I am so busy already. When my BFF Tilda is a teacher, like she said she wants to be in your careers talk, she will probably be more understanding and not put someone in detention just for shouting a bit when they say what their ambition is. The end. Mark, suggestion equals A+. Tuesday evening, when I would rather be watching Friends, quite honestly, but I am meant to be doing my homework. For homework, I have got maths problems from Mr. Bridges. I have also got problems with my maths problems because A, it was meant to be in 2 days ago, and B, it's about percentages and I don't get how to do them because I was so sleepy in class I zoned out and ended up counting the wood lines on my desk, which is maths, I guess, but not the helpful type. I could have given this homework in today, but something happened that gave me another maths problem. Basically, I fell out with Tilda. Dun dun da! You are thinking, how did that happen? But I will say after the maths. Also, Jules is still away, so the maths problem is that 3 minus 1 equals 1. The 1 is me left on my own. What happened was, last night I was at Delia's, trying to get my Fantasia fashion design finished, because it has to be in on the 3rd of Feb, which is in 3 days' time. I went there to use Delia's special overlocker thing for hemming the points. I did them in bright pink and purple thread, which looks really cool. I still have to sew them onto the Fantasia and sew the beads on and that. But it is getting there. This is it so far. The thing is that me and Delia, Nan, were so busy working and chatting that it got really late, and I didn't have time to do my homework. When Mom picked me up this morning, I tried to do it in the car, but it was too juggly, and I was tired from staying up until about 35 minutes past midnight. Don't tell Mom. She's already grumpy about having to look after Humberto while I swanned off last night, as she put it. So today at break, I was telling Tilda all the stuff I had left to do on my Fantasia. She was really sweet by offering to help me finish my outfit, but I said no thanks, because then it wouldn't be all mine, and that would be cheating. Then I thought, aha, Tilda is in the brainy math set, and even if she can't help me with my design, she can still do my homework for me. So I went, can you do my maths for me quickly now? Because then I'll have time tonight to finish my Fantasia. Tilda mumbled something and kept brushing her hair, but she didn't start doing my maths, even though I gave her a hug and balanced the book and pencil on the radiator for her. She finished putting her hair up and slicked on some lip gloss, while I waited patiently. But then she still wasn't doing it, and I said, Tilda, did you hear when I said about the... That was when her face went really red, and she said to me, I can't do it because you have to learn it for yourself. So I said, but it's just this one time. Go on. But she still said no, and that it wasn't fair on the teacher. So I got in a strop because she offered to help, then she wouldn't. I went, just because you want to be a teacher doesn't mean you have to start now. I thought you'd be a good one, but you're going to end up all stricty like Mr. Kane. Tilda's eyes went all teary, and for a moment she looked like her old self from before the makeover I did on her. She was called Matilda Jane. Then, and she was always crying. No, Lucy, I'm not doing it because it's wrong, she said all breathlessly. You gave me a makeover and showed me how to be a stand-up babe, and now I am standing up to you. So I'm fine. If you can't help me just this one time, then you're not a real friend, and I don't want to hang around with you anymore. Tilda said, fine, I don't want to hang around with someone who tries to make me do wrong things anyway. I grabbed my stupid maths book and ran out then. I think I might have said something about Tilda van der Goody Goody, but I can't really remember. I don't know why I was so grumpy with her about it, but there's no way I'm saying sorry. She should have helped me out when I needed it. That is what friends are for, isn't it? I know Jules would, even though it would take her ages, because she is a rubbish at maths like me. I hope that I was so mega grumpy because I am getting my Q, but nothing has turned up. I think it's just because I'm so tired from all the seamstressing last night. Q means period, BTW, because saying P for period was too obvious, and with saying Q, we can talk about it even when boys are there earwigging. Tilda got here 3 entire months ago, but I have this secret worry that because I am late developer, mine won't come till I'm about 24 or something. So I marched out of the loos and straight into Mrs. Steppen, the science teacher. I used to be good rubbish at science, but then I did a really good report on Operation Makeover, Matilda Jane using fancy words like observe and therefore and predictions and accurate. And now I am her favorite, although she's got to pretend to be fair on the others, so she can't say it straight out. Lucy, she said, you're finally out of the loos. It's a miracle. Maybe now you'd like to think about getting to your next class. Once you've wiped that makeup off your face, that is. I just went, sorry, and started rummaging in my bag for those makeup removing wipe things my mom got me for her boots card points. Mrs. Steppen peered at me strangely. Are you all right? She asked. Yeah, of course, I went. Come on, Lucy. I know something's wrong, she said, all softly. You didn't even try to argue just now when I asked you to take your makeup off. That's just not like you. I'm fine, I went, trying to hide the big yawn I was having. She peered at me. But you didn't even say it got there by accident. And your jumper is actually on both shoulders. I slouched to the side to make my jumper fall off one shoulder like it does usually. There. See? I'm fine. Is everything alright at home? She went then. We staff are all aware that your parents have just split up. If you're having problems copying, you can always have a chat with me or Mrs. Phillips. Really? I'm okay, I went. But she wouldn't stop going on about it. Lucy, she said, I've heard the other teachers saying in the staff room that you are consistently late with your homework and exhausted in class. Mr. King even told me that you shouted at him in the career store. Surely you know that wasn't wise. I thought, well, duh, I went, and I know I should learn to control myself. But the thing is that he raised his eyebrow at me. And I'm only tired because I'm busy making a Fantasia for the Fashion Fantasy competition. And I absolutely have to win it because then I will definitely be a famoso fashion designer and I'll be able to go and visit my dad anywhere where he is being a roadie, even all over the world. And then it won't matter that he's going away and never coming back. Mrs. Stimpson folded her arms and sighed. I see, she said. She looked really sad then, and I suddenly realized why. So I tried to cheer her up by saying, I know it's disappointing for you, because although you can't look like having favorites straight out, wink wink, I know your hopes are riding on me to do something sciencey with my life, but I am going to be a fashion designer. Mrs. Stephen smiled at me even more sadly. Where the what? And went, why don't you have a chat with your father about this? I was thinking, what? Why? Mrs. Stephen is nice, but she doesn't get about fashion at all. Well, she thinks it is stole sandals and a baggy cardigan. So I explained patiently. That can help me because he doesn't know anything about fashion. For example, he's got these huge pants that he leaves to dry on the radiator in Uncle's Ken flat. And then, when he's wearing them, you can sometimes see the actual waistband sticking out of his trousers. Well, I suggest you go and have a chat with him anyway, she said, even if he can't help you, what's bothering you? So I went to maths and got told off about my homework because it still wasn't done, thanks to Dilda. And then after school, I went to Dad's. I didn't go there because I wasn't, Mrs. Stephen said, but because I had to go anyway to give him something from Mum. I didn't know what it was because she'd put it in a stuck-down envelope, but then I nearly tripped outside the constructor, and the envelope got a bit ripped, unfortunately. I looked inside just to make sure the piece of paper was okay and not ripped as well, and I kind of accidentally saw what it said. So I know that Mom wants that to stay, even though they roll all the time. When I got there, Dad was strumming his guitar and watching his ginormous pants dry, as usual. He said, would I like something to eat because there was some leftover takeaway curry in the fridge. He wasn't sure how long it had been there, but we smelled it and it seemed alright, so I had it anyway. We talked about school and stuff a bit, and I pretended it was going all okay. Then I showed him my beware list of dangerous things that can happen to roadies. To my astonishment, he laughed. The list is totally serious and for his own safety, and went, Lucy, this is brilliant. I'm so glad you've got my sense of humor and not your mother's. Then his face went all dark and stormy and he said, not that you could have your mother's because she hasn't got one. I went suddenly quiet with feeling awkward and he said, sorry, I didn't mean that. We're just having a hard time at the moment. That's when I remembered the envelope from Mom and I thought it would really help smooth things over. So I gave it to him. But I was so wrong. Because what actually happened was that Dad read the thing inside and went nuts. To calm him down, I started saying about my fantasy fashion design. But he went, sorry, love, just hold fire for a minute. Then he instantly rang Mom up and he was going, why did you send me a cutting for a job at the local radio station? That's a T-boy's job. It probably doesn't have anything to do with music. You know I'm too old to start at that level and you're just rubbing it in. I'm going to be a roadie and that's that. I started feeling queasy then. Maybe the curry was a bit off after all. Then Dad was silent for a long time while Mom was talking. He was making that mouth sign with his hand that showed he thought she was going on and on and on. Then he went, well, I'm so happy we've managed to stay friends. Shoo, in this really sarky way and slammed the phone down. After that, he turned back to me with a big fake smile and said, sorry, Lou. What were you saying? But I said, doesn't matter. I really wanted to go then, because suddenly I felt totally sick. It must have been the curry. I didn't want to throw up in Dad and Uncle Skin's toilet, which, according to Mom, has never set eyes on a loo brush. Not that toilets have eyes, but it's another saying. So I said I had loads of homework to do. Dad said I could do it at his place, but there isn't even a table or anything because him and Uncle Ken eat on the sofa with their dinner on their knees. So luckily I have an excuse to go. I felt a bit bitter on the way home. It must have been the fresh air. While breathing the fresh air, I had a total revelation, which is this. Okay, so I really thought my dangerous things that can happen to roadies list was just for that own safety. But it was being revealed to me that I was in fact trying to get him to stay here in Shelbourne. I have realized that I really, really want him to stay. I know I'm very nearly 13, which is mega grown up, and I know he is a bit mean about mom sometimes, but apart from that and his off curries and his generous pants, he is okay. I was just putting up with my what he decided, as usual, but this time I am putting my foot down hard. I have only got one dad, and I need him around. And that is that. Well, now I know how I feel in actuality. I'll have to come up with a way better plan than just a list. I mean, ooh, things written on paper. How scary. Not. Everything's gone wrong, and I am still supposed to be doing percentages for my math homework. Hang on. Eek! I started trying to do it but can't concentrate. So instead, I have worked on the percentage of how wrong everything has gone. Wrong things. 1. Dad. 2. Dog boy. 3. Tilda. And 4. School. Right things. 1. Fantasy fashion design. I just attached the father boa and finished the bracelet, so I only need to sew on the rest of the beads by hand and stitch the 2 necklines together and fix this bit where my stitching has come loose on the left side. Then hopefully I will win. I'm tired out, but I have to keep going for 2 more days, because then you have to send it in. So it's mathematically official that right now my life is 80% poop. Wednesday, after school and also after a very bad thing. Actually, now my life is 100% poop. The worst thing possible has happened. I woke up and I was blurrily eating my cornflakes. My journal was on the table and open at where I had stuck in the fantasy fashion competition page. I was just chewing and staring at where it said entries had to be in on the 3rd. Then I realized the 3rd is not Friday, but tomorrow, which is in fact Thursday. I dropped my spoon and went, "No!" really loud, making Alex nearly choke on his Weetabix, and Mom came running down from the bathroom with half her lipstick on. I started crying then and showed Mom the magazine. I begged her to let me stay at home and get some more of the sequins and beads on and sew up the necklines. Then it could go in at least 5 o'clock post and it would be okay-ish at least. Mom looked really upset. "Normally I would, Lou," she said, "but I had a letter from the school. Your teachers are very concerned about you. I'm afraid you really can't afford to take any time off." "But I'm only doing badly because I'm working so hard on my design and because Tilda wasn't to my homework." "You asked Tilda to do your homework?" Mom said, blinking at me. "Lucy, I really don't think, but I must have looked so desperate she decided not to say any more about that. I'm so sorry, love," she went in, "but there's no way I can call in sick today. The regional math manager is visiting, and I know she's looking to make some redemptions." I was thinking, I don't know what reductions are, but Mom's work makes loads of different types of plastic things, and she doesn't need to be there watching all the time. Anyway, she works in the accounts office, not the factory bit, but she looked really stressy. So I helpfully went, "Oh, that's okay. I'll be fine here by myself." Mom frowned. "Sorry, Lou, but I'm not happy about leaving you alone in the house all day." "But that's so unfair," I said calmly and sensibly. "No, okay, to be honest, I was shouting a bit. I'm totally old enough to stay by myself. I'm not a baby, you know. You're destroying my career." Mom frowned at me. I'm sorry, this has happened, darling, but please try not to get hysterical. How can you tell me not to get hysterical? I yelled, getting hysterical. When I've worked so hard and I was going to win and I fell out with Tilda and Mr. McKain gave me detention on all my homework late and now it was all for nothing and I may as well not bother even entering and I had to stop to get a breath, which was when Mom said, I've seen that you've done so far. It's perfectly fine. Just get it into the jiffy bag and be in the car in 10 minutes. Then she went to Alex. Eat your cereal, puppet, because he had been staring at us with his mouth open and the spoon hovering. Why are you ruining my life? I yelled at Mom. Then I marched out of the kitchen, but I still heard her say, helmets on, everyone. Here come the teens. Haha, I yelled in a way to show that it was not funny. But it got even worse than that. I went to get the Fantasia from my table, and it wasn't there. Then I noticed Humberto chewing something. Sadly, it was not a fake stick, and he was not looking adorable. It was my outfit, and he was looking wicked, like this. I grabbed it off him, which made it rip down the side where the stitches was loose. And also, it was covered in dog hair and slobbered and chewed on one corner. I was so upset I couldn't do anything for ages. I couldn't even cry. I just stood there, staring and feeling completely sick and shaky. As Nan, Delia, would say, it looked like nothing on earth. As I would say, it was totally, completely and utterly ruined. I must have stood there for exactly 9 minutes, because Mom called out about being ready to go in 1 minute. Then I suddenly felt really angry. It was 40% with Mom and Humberto, but it was 60% with myself for getting the stupid date wrong. Fine, I'll just send it off, I went, all in a fury. Then Stella Boyd and all the hey girls people can see how rubbish I am. And I'll never ever get to be a fashion designer. Fine, fine, fine. I scribbled the hey girls address on the jiffy bag and shoved my design in, plus the bit of paper with my name and address and everything. Then I sealed it up and stumped off to the car, dragging Humberto behind me because we were handing him over to Jules' dad at the school gate. I was silent all the way to school, except when I asked Mom to change the radio station because I forgot I wasn't speaking to her. After that, I clapped my lips tight and shut and thought, don't talk, don't talk, don't talk, over and over in case I did it again. When we got there, I wasn't going to tell Mom that she still only had half her lipstick on, but I did it in the end. Letting someone go to work with bad makeup on is really cruel. However angry you are, I left the jiffy bag on the front seat for her to post. Phew, that Humberto is gone. Yay, that Jules is back. I was going to be angry with Jules about Humberto, but she was so happy to see him, and I was so happy to see her, I didn't want to spoil it. Plus, when we got into the loose, she gave me a cool hair lip from Spain and a half-cooked tortilla sandwich, which is like potatoes inside eggs, inside bread. But I didn't notice that the hair lip was cool or that the sandwich was gross until later, because right then I was still so upset. Jules didn't notice my upsetness at first because she was going on about her holiday, but she didn't notice when I started going blah and crying my eyes almost actually out. Not a pretty sight. Then no one was talking and Jules was just hugging me. In between crying, I told her about the 100% poopiness of my life. When I told her about Tilda, I thought she'd be sad because our BFF triangle is ruined. But she just went, oh well, never mind, Tilda is okay, but you still got me. And I would always do your maths for you, even though I'm a mega slow at it. Because that's what friends are for. That's what I thought, I said snivelingly. Don't worry about her, Lou, said Jules. We'll just go round on our own, like we used to. So then I told her about the disaster of the fantasy fashion design that happened to the morning. I left out the bit about Humberto though, so Jules didn't have to choose between her BFF and her BCC, Best Canon Companion. We can't do anything about the fantasy fashion competition, said Jules, but we can make your life 20% less poop because we can make your dad stay. I looked at her. Huh? But he really wants to go, I explained, even after my dangerous things that can happen to roadies list. No way can we persuade him not to. Jules just smiled her wickedy smile. I'm not thinking of persuading him, she whispered. I'm thinking of tricking him. I've got a fat plan. But she wouldn't tell me what it was till we did it. Jules likes making things dark and mysterious like that. Thanks, Jules, I went. Not that I will win the comp now, but say if everything had gone right and I did it, you know I'd give you the ticket to come to London with me, don't you? Of course I do, said Jules, laughing. Who else would you give it to? Gulp. I know I said I would give the ticket to Tilda, but that was before we fell out. And when I forgot for 2 seconds how great Jules is, anyways, there's no way I'll win now, so it doesn't matter. Jules and me hugged, and the bell went for registration, so I had to quickly put some makeup on to hide my eyes that were red from crying. Tilda had piano at lunch, and at last break she just sat by herself reading a book about grade 5 theory. I know that because me and Jules went past her. Tilda said hi to Jules, but nothing to me. So Jules said nothing to her because she is my loyal BFF. When we got home to mine, there was this postcard from Jules. W-O-W-O-W-O-W-O-W. Do they always come after the person is back? I'm sticking it in because it's way cool. Jules drew all her family onto the mountain, background in Tipex. I used to have a crush on JJ, but now I am totally cured of it. JJ, Mom and Dad, me, Benito, and Benita. When we'd got Cokes out of the fridge and Jules had made a cheese sandwich like usual, we went up to my room and she told me her plan to make Dad stay. It is really good and it is called the fake agent plan. It goes like this. 1. Jules rings up my dad and says she's the band's agent. 2. Jules says sorry, the roadie job has been cancelled. 3. Jules says, don't call us, we'll call you. 4. Dad stays here. I said, it's a truly fabulissimo plan, except how will Dad know it's not you? Jules thought for a bit, munching the cheese sandwich, and then she said, I know, I could say it all in Spanish. I said, that's a good idea, except he won't understand it. And then he'll still go. Oh yeah, said Jules. And then we were quiet for a bit. Thinking then, Jules said, I know, I could not speak in actual Spanish, but I could do a Spanish accent. And I could do it with a bit of cheese sandwich in my mouth to make my voice go different. Well, that was such an obviously brilliant idea that I agreed straight away. Jules phoned Dad on her new mobile so she wouldn't know the number. And we both listened in on the earphone. Because if you use a mobile straight to your ear, your brain will fry in your head. I wrote the plan down almost exactly while it was happening, which is why it's a bit scruffy. Brr, 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 brr. That is my dad's phone ringing. BTW. Not someone's being called. Dad. Yeah, Brian here, what's up? I think he's trying to sound cool. Jules. Hello, Mr. Hartley. This is Dolores, Juventus cavilling about the roadie job. Dad, oh, I usually talk to Claire. Are you with the band's management agency? Jules, see, yes, I am new, sadly. The roadie job is not available anymore because they told Bob the old roadie had spontaneously combusted, which is a real and actual danger for roadies. But it was a false alarm. Dad, oh dear, that's such a shame. Oh well, never mind. I just have to stay here in Sherborne and get a job close to my daughter Lucy and her delightful friend Julieta. Thanks, then bye. I made that bit up. Good, isn't it? Jules wanted to just say he'd got better from being ill, but I wanted to make it sound really true and likely. I also had to poke Jules then, because she was forgetting to do the Spanish accent. Before Jules could even do point number 3, the "don't call us, we'll call you" bit, he hung up. Then my Moby rang, and we both jumped because it came up "Dad" on the screen. I answered it and casually, and I told him I was doing my homework on my own alone without Jules here. He told me about the agent call from Dolores Juventus, and I acted all surprised and sad for him. I am not as good at acting as Jules, so I think maybe I overdid it a bit, because I started wailing and going, "But it was your dream! But it's good, isn't it?" He went. You wanted me to stay, didn't you? Yeah, of course, I said back. But mainly I wanted you to follow your dream. Me too, but something just happened to change my mind, said Dad. See you soon, okay? Okay, I went, flipping my phone shut. Weird how he said Jules was delightful for no reason, but amazing that he totally fell for the fake agent plan. And no way knew it was her. I gave her the thumbs up and we did our special happy dance around the bedroom. The only form when we were about 5, where you have to flash your knickers at the end. I felt a teeny bit guilty doing the happy dance because 20% of me really does want Dad to follow his dreams. But then I remembered that he was staying, and I felt so relieved it was outweighed the guilt by 60% because 80% of me really needs him to be here. Oh, look, I'm still doing percentages from yesterday. That reminds me, I have to go get on with my homework now, which is later than the lateness possible. Mom offered to help me and I said, yeah, okay, whatever. I have to catch up so the teachers don't write her any more notes. But I'm still not speaking to her properly. Like, I am going, Mom, it's Gloria on the phone for you, and I am watching Friends repeat near her, but I am not telling her my private things anymore. So that means she doesn't know I have just done her a massive favor by getting Dad to stay, which is a shame because she might have let me borrow her MAC lip gloss as a reward. But then, if she wants to know my secret stuff, she should have let me stay at home on my own and save my fantasy fashion outfit from the utter mess it looked like. I kind of 78% wish I hadn't sent it off at all, but I was megally angry when I did. Right, I am absolutely putting this book down now. Percentages, here I come. Time of Thursday the 3rd. Fantasy fashion competition deadline day. Though I am trying not to think of my rubbish efforts sitting on a pile with all these bro ones from girls whose moms let them stay at home and whose friends did their homework for them and whose dogs were well trained and did not chew up their entry. While I am sitting here writing this next to, no, you will not believe who. So I am not going to tell you, not yet, anyway. In English, just now we were doing Empty World, which is this book where everyone on the planet gets wiped out by some killer plague and only this one boy Neil is left. It's cool because he can go into department stores and have anything he likes, but sad because everything's destroyed and there's no one to hang around with. I am in a bit of an empty world at the moment, as I myself have in fact got no one to hang around with. Well, there is one person here, but I would say he is more hanging around near me than actually with me. So you're thinking, well, okay, I know about Tilda, but what has happened to Jules? Well, basically in English we got put in pairs. And although people usually choose who they go with, Mr. Wright made Jules sit next to Tilda in one of those really obvious make us all be friends things teachers do. And worse, he put me with Simon Driscoll, whose entire table is full up with Greeky minings. I knew right at that minute it was going to be no fun at all, because none of them know anything about fashion or makeup. And also, they were all going to work hard and not mess around, because Empty World is science fiction, with they love. I turned around to do a face at Jules about Simon Driscoll, and then I went red because I think maybe he saw me a bit, and I didn't mean him to. Jules did a face back about having to sit with Tilda, which luckily Tilda didn't see because she was rummaging in her bag for something, or she might have started crying. Simon Driscoll turned to me, and I thought we were going to discuss Empty World, but in actual fact he said, I know you have a name for me. No, I do not, I went. That is not lying, BTW. Instead, it is acting. I was acting like someone who doesn't call him the Prince of Pillockdom. So it was okay to say that and not a lie. He shrugged. Yes, you do. I got all huffy then and went, not that I would bother thinking of a name for you, but even if I did, no way can you know what it is. Simon Driscoll looked me straight in the eye and went, you call me the Prince of Pillockdom? I was amazed by that. How did you know? I gasped. Are you physic or something? Simon Driscoll did a snort of derision, which means a snort to show the thing's physicness is stupid and also impossible. Then he went, actually, it's written on your exercise book. I looked at the cover of my book, which in fact did say, well, actually, I can stick it in because Mr. Wright told me off for writing it there and gave me a new book. Lucy Jessica Hartley from 8P. Jules plus Lucy plus Tilda, BFF. Sequins, sweet baby doll dress with flower, corsage, chiffon, pink, beers, tufts, 3/4 length, satin pale blue. Simon Driscoll is the Prince of Pillockdom. Mac, possible top design for disco, Clifton flowers, lush colors, pouchy perfect lipstick. Cute bows, shoulders. That's weird. How did that get there? I went. I felt really bad then, and I wished I'd never put that. I did some more acting to try to cover it up, going, I must have sleep written it, which is a real thing, like sleepwalking. Simon Driscoll just went, oh, it doesn't bother me. In fact, I've got a name for you too. I was stunned for a second, and then instantly wanted to know what it was because of my natural curiosity. You won't like it, Simon Driscoll said warningly. But I have to know things, so I just kept asking until he couldn't even focus on question 5A, which was, if you were Nell, what would you do next? Eventually he went, okay, you are Princess Precocious Pain in the posterior. I didn't want to ask what posterior was because I didn't want him to add P-brain to the list, and since it came before pain in the posterior, which is geek speak for bum, BTW, I'm guessing it wasn't very nice. Strange, isn't it? I didn't think Simon Driscoll would have a name for me because I'm a cool girl, but then I had another revelation. I wrote my revelation to Jules. Question 5A. If you were Nell, what would you do next? Hey Jules, I just had this revelation that maybe to the P of P and the GMS, where are the geeky ones. I mean, like, what if they think makeup and fashion and sleepovers and watching friends and that is geeky? That's going to computer club and having a strange lopsided haircut and doing a weirdo hand signal to each other out of Star Trek is way cool. What do you think of that? LXXX. I turned around to pass the note to Jules, but even though we are not actually talking to Tilda, she was in fact talking to Tilda. I didn't mind because she'd promised to only talk about empty world. Well, I dropped my pen to make her look up so I could pass her the revelation, and I wish I hadn't because she gave me a complete killer stare, worse than she did even when she saw Tilda snogging Charlie P at the school disco last month. BTW, Charlie P is who Tilda and Jules both used to like before he started going out with Emily Jackson just because she promised him some cheese diapers and a ticket to Southampton v Liverpool. So anyway, I whispered to Jules, "What's up?" And Jules shouted really loud, "You promised us both the ticket to London!" Eek! She had obviously found that out from Tilda, or else Tilda had found it out from her. Either way, they didn't look very happy. "Well, you promised to only talk about empty world," I shouted back. Mr. Wright told me to calm down, but Jules wouldn't talk to me at all, or even look at me. I tried rolling my pen near her and then going to get it like they always do in American high school TV shows. But it didn't work because Mr. Wright jumped up and got it for me. Pooh! The teachers must be lazier in America. Then we had to put our eyes on Mr. Wright and have a class discussion about what we had discussed about the discuss question. So I had this clever plan that even if Jules couldn't speak to me, she would still have to listen to me. Mr. Wright hinged up the trouser legs of his coat and sat on the edge of his desk in that way only English teachers do, and said, "Okay, who's got some ideas to throw in?" I straight away stuck my hand up and when he went, "Yes, you can go to the toilet, Lucy, but you'd better come straight back and without additional makeup on." I said, "Sir, I have an idea to throw in about the actual question." He looked really surprised and happy, and so did Simon Driscoll and the geeky minions, because they thought they transformed me into liking science fiction. I said, "Neil knows that it looked like he was not a good friend to promise the ticket to London to both his BFF. You mean he's still in shock about his parents' death?" said Mr. Wright, looking confused. "Absolutely," I said back. But really, he was trying to be nice to both of them and show them how much he liked them. Mr. Wright peered at me. "Are you talking about before the deadly plague wiped out the entire population of the world?" he asked. "Yeah," I went, "exactly." "All right, then," he went, clapping his hands together. "Anyone else?" 5 geeky minion hands went up then, so I looked meaningfully over at Jules. But she was looking straight at Mr. Wright, intensely concentrating, which she never does, so I knew it was to avoid looking at me. Tilda was looking at me, though, which she never does, as she's usually too busy intensely concentrating on Mr. Wright. When I looked back at her, she looked quickly away. I knew both of them had got that I was talking about a slot and not empty world. Even though I was really clever and subtle about it, but it obviously didn't work because at break everyone filed out and I went up to them and Jules said, "You promised that ticket to me and I am hurt because you promised it to Tilda too. I thought you were my BFF who I could trust not to lie to me ever, ever, ever. Lucy Jessica Hartley." I was going to think of something to say back, but I suddenly felt like when I ate that of quarry at Dad's. I had to run to the loo because I thought I was going to throw up. Nothing came out, though, and so I went into the playground for some fresh air, because that's what worked last time. But then there were Tilda and Jules hanging out together. I really wanted to go over, but I think it's best to leave Jules alone to cool down when bad stuff happens. I don't know if that's true when it's a big thing like this, because normally it's only small stuff like when I accidentally ate her chicken sandwich at first break, or when I accidentally borrowed her Buffy Wits and then accidentally tapped over one with SpongeBob SquarePants for Alex. But that is big stuff, really big stuff. I have fallen out with both my best friends, and they have made out too without me. I'm sitting here absolutely, completely, and utterly alone. Well, nearly. It is time to tell you who is here. It is in actual fact Simon Driscoll. He is drawing alien mutants in his sketchbook while I am writing this. For the first time, I am wondering why he is here. Hang on, I just said, why aren't you at computer club with the geeky minions? I mean, your charming friends? He shrugged and went, I don't feel like it. Anyway, why aren't you in the toilets with Vampire Girl and the Windmill Kid? I was really surprised. Then a bit impressed that he'd made those names up. Maybe he is quite funny boy in disguise. In fact, maybe he's an okay boy after all. Simon Driscoll just said, "You're okay too." Eek! How did he manage to read what I put from way over there? Maybe he's in actual fact an alien mutant with X-ray vision himself. Now he's saying I'd better make up a nicer name for you. I suppose how about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? Then he quickly did this sketch and gave it to me. So now I know what kaleidoscope eyes are, at least, even if not how to spell them. As you know, I am total respecter of people's creativity, privacy. But when he tore out the picture, I accidentally saw into his sketchbooks and lots of the mutant aliens appeared to be based on me. There were Lucy's with 3 heads but 1 eye, and 3 eyes on 1 head, and even one where I have a microwave instead of a stomach. I have big DM boots and guns in all of them, which is crazy because I am a pacifist, and also because DMs are not my thing, but Jules. When I saw them, Simon just went all weird and started blushing and said, "They're not actually of you or anything, it's just you were standing there with your fat bum in the way when I started doing them in art. So I did one of you, and then I had to carry on doing them of you because they are all the same species." I can't believe it. He must really hate me because not only did he call me Princess Thingy Pain in the posterior, but also he thinks I have a fat bum. "I do not have a fat bum," I yelled, but he just blushed even redder and went, "Mumbo, mumbo," so I decided to take charge of the conversation. Well, we are in silence again now, so I can write what happened when I took charge of the conversation. I couldn't write it as it was happening because I started talking quite fast, and it was a lot to write down, so to just tell you the main points, I said about how I fell out with Jules and Tilda because of the fantasy fashion competition and the ticket to London. Then I said how I read the date wrong and that Humberto messed up my outfit anyways, so it shouldn't matter about the stupid ticket. And then talking about the disaster with Humberto made me think about the other disaster with Humberto, the one with Dog Boy, and so I told him about that as well. He really crazed up when I told him the bit about Humberto pooing on Dog Boy's trainer. "It is not funny," I said, maybe yelling a bit. "It totally made him not like me." Simon Driscoll pulled a straight face. "Sorry," he said. "It's his loss anyway. I'd like you even if your dog pooed on my trainer, and you got really embarrassed." And I went, "Really?" And he went, "Yeah. Actually, I'd like you more than usual because usually you're so full of yourself." I just had to slap him a bit then, and now we are in silence. And also, I think I will go back and cross out that bit about him being quite funny and okay. Oh, the bell just went, and I have to watch the sight of Tilda and Jules going in together. It feels so horrible that they don't like me. But what can I do now? I have messed it all up. Maybe forever. Simon Brisket saw me looking sad, watching Jules and Tilda. He said, "Don't worry about them. We're having a marathon Star Trek video night tonight. You can come if you want." Well, there is no way I am turning into a geeky minion, even if Jules and Tilda never speak to me again. So instead of replying, I just groaned and stuck my head in the book. Friday lunchtime. I am missing extra lunch to write this because there is so much to tell you, but I have a Snickers and an apple in my bag from break, so I will survive. I wanted to try talking to Tilda and Jules again after school, but I had to rush straight back home to see Dad, who was there making himself useful, as Mom says, but fixing the dripping tap in the bathroom and mowing the lawn to make up for the child support money he owes her. I wanted to talk to Mom and Dad together about Tilda and Jules like I used to when I had a big problem and maybe have a bit of a cry actually. I still felt sick all the way home, and I'm starting to think that maybe it was not the return of the curry, but instead to do with all the emotionally flying around. So I got home last night and Mom had just walked in the door too. She only works till 3:30 because she has to look after Alex. I could be here on my own, of course. But instead of me getting to tell them about the Tilda and Jules disaster and my empty worldliness, I stood in the hall and had to listen to her yelling at Dad because he was not fixing the bathroom tap or mowing the lawn. Instead, he was sitting at the kitchen table doing the crossword, drinking coffee, and eating her last chocolate eclair out of the fridge. I knew this was very bad because me and Alex had been made to promise not to scoff it, or we would be sent to the children's home. Then Dad started yelling back about how he was only sitting down for a minute and why couldn't she just leave him to get on with things in his own time instead of nagging. And Mom said if she did that, she'd be 84 and the lawn would be up the roof before anything happened. And all the time I stood there, I was feeling sicker and sicker. And that was when I walked in and went, "Stop it!" Then I said, "If you two can't learn how to behave, then I will have to separate you." This is what Mom usually says to me and Alex. It was funny because they already have separated, but also not funny because it made me have another revelation. The revelation was that it might be better if Dad was in the fact not here. And I don't mean as in not here in the kitchen, I mean as in not here in Sherborne. I'm not talking about forever, of course, but just for a little while. My brain started whizzing with ideas then. "Well, I'd rather get on with that lawn," Dad mumbled and tried to slope off, but I went, "No, wait. You and Mom are fighting as badly as before. You went to live at Uncle Ken's. Maybe you didn't get separated enough. Maybe you should get separated more." Dad looked at me all confusedly, and that was when I started crying like crazy. I confessed that it was Jules who made me the roadie phone call, and that the job was there after all, and he could go. In fact, I told him he should go, so we could all have some time away from arguing. When I said it, I felt in a weird sort of crying trance, but I knew it was the right thing. I was a bit amazed when he said he knew it was Jules making the roadie phone call, and he was only pretending he didn't. He told me he realized that if I wanted him to stay so much, I had to lie about it, which is not normally like me. Then he'd better have a rethink. I said it wasn't lying, it was acting. But I kind of knew it was lying, just a little bit. Dad looked at Mom and went, "What do you think?" But actually in a nice and not shouty way. Mom said that the way things were going, it might be better if he did in fact go, and they could have a proper break from each other to readjust. She said, "I was hoping we could be friends straight away for the sake of the children," but then she had to go upstairs to the bathroom because her contact lens had slipped, and it was hurting her eye. "Is this really what you want, Lou?" Dad asked me when she was gone, hugging me tight. I felt sicker than I've if I'd eaten 20 off curries. But between crying, I managed to say, "Can't you just get on for the sake of the child?" And very nearly teenager, like Mom said, that stared into his coffee at the moment. "Lou, I don't think so." He looked me straight in the eyes then and went, "I'm sorry, darling. I'm so sorry about all of this." I thought he was going to start crying then, which I have never ever seen my dad do. And in and I don't want to either. So I quickly spoke. I didn't want to say what I said, but I knew it was the truth, so I had to. I said, "I don't want you to go, but I think it's the best thing until you and Mom work out how to get on with each other." Dad didn't say anything. Instead, he just nodded and took a deep breath. Then Mom came down from sorting out her contact lens, and weirdly, both her eyes were red and watery, but anyways, I had a hug with her as well, which was nice because for a while I have been doing the not properly speaking to her thing, and I forgot what a cool mom she is. Between us, we persuaded Dad that it was okay for him to go for the roadie job. Then I told them both about Tilda and Jules and had another cry. Dad started to make some more coffee, but Mom said, "I'll handle this, Brian. That loan won't mow itself." So he hugged me again, then went off outside. Mom said I should make something for Tilda and Jules to show them I am really sorry. And she also said how proud of me she was for coming clean about the acting thing me and Jules did to Dad about the roadie job. So after Dad went, I spent the evening watching Friends, not just near Mom, but actually with her. And at the same time, I was making friendship bracelets as peace offerings for Tilda and Jules. I went to bed really early because I had a headache from all the crying, so I didn't write anything in here last night. So anyway, this is why I'm in the loos instead of at lunch, so I can catch you up on all this stuff. I am just writing this on the loo. I am sitting on the closed seat of the loo, not doing actual you know what. Yuck. I wanted to tell you that I said sorry to Tilda and Jules about the London tickets thing at morning break, and I have them the friendship bracelets. They still didn't look very friendly at first, but then I told them about what happened last night with all the arguing and the crazy crying, and me deciding that that should go away, and Mom and Dad deciding I was right. They were suddenly really cool with me after that. Like they knew it was more important than who got invited to London when no one is going anywhere. And then I said to Tilda, I shouldn't have minded when you wouldn't do my maths homework. I'd rather have a friend who stands up for what she believes in, even if it is a bit square. Tilda shook hands with me and went, thanks, I think. Then me and Jules did our stupid make friends song while shaking hands, like we've been doing since primary school, which Tilda thought was really funny. She wanted to join in, so we did it as a three. Jules said, "Hey, now we've made up, you don't have to hang around with Simon Driscoll anymore. You must have been living in fear that he was going to try to kiss you with tongues again." I laughed about it, and I didn't mention my discovery that Simon Driscoll is in actual fact an okay boy, because Jules wouldn't get that. Then the bell rang, and so we all linked arms and went in. I have to go now because it's the outside time you get after lunch. And I'm meeting Tilda and Jules in the little doorway around the back of the art room. I have to brace myself because I know that as soon as I step into public, Simon Driscoll will call me the girl with kaleidoscope eyes and get the geeky minions to sing the song at me. They've been doing it all day in between classes. Oh well. On the kitchen table on Friday night. Well, to quickly fill you in, me and Tilda and Jules were chatting in the little doorway round the back of the art room, and I suddenly had this good idea that I could make something positive of Dad going away. The idea was that I could throw him a going away party. Jules and Tilda thought this was good thinking, and we decided that it is going to be a rock party in celebration of his new roadiness. We are going to organize it together, and this is what we have thought of. Rock party stuff. 1. Food. 2. Drinks. 3. Music for guests. 5. Where to have it. 6. Invitation. 7. What am I going to wear? The rock and roll food is going to be all things you can eat with your fingers, like chicken, satay, sticks, and sausage rolls and quiche. For number 2, drinks, Jules said we can put on the invitations for the adults to bring wine or beer or whatever they want, and we can get some Coke and lemonade. So Tilda said, and I'll just have water. Tilda's not allowed Coke, and we thought it was just her dad being stricty. But actually it makes her go hyper and act completely unlike herself. To save Tilda's embarrassment, I am sealing my lips. But if you want the details, you'll have to look in my first journal called Makeover Magic. Anyway, then we did some cool designs for rock party outfits, because we are all 3 going to be rock chicks. I was secretly thinking of inviting Simon Driscoll to the rock party, but I have decided not to because Jules will wonder why and think I want him to cause another embarrassing incident with thuns. When I got home just now, Mom was here, but Alex was at Matthew's, so she wasn't looking after him. He's normally supposed to stay in and do his weekend homework on a Friday night, but he was so upset about that leaving, she gave him a chocolate eclair and said he could go over there to play instead. First I made her give me an eclair so it was fair, and then I told her about the rock party next Saturday and asked her to help me. She went a bit moody because according to her, even though your father will be gone soon, it is almost impossible to change your attitude to someone overnight, especially if they have been driving you round the bend for several years. But she said she could probably manage to defrost a quench, even though she is not coming to the party. Then I got her to help me with number 4, guests, because most of dad's friends are her friends too. That was when she sighed and said, well, if all my friends are going to be there eating my quench, I suppose I'd better show my face. Just for an hour. So yay! She is coming. And I have written her on the guest list too. Mom says that number 5, where to have it, is called the venue. We decided that it is going to be my dad's flat, well, Uncle Ken's. I did suggest having it here, but Mom wasn't that keen. Then I thought of over there because the last place Dad would expect to find a party is in the flat where he is living. It will be hard having it at Dad's though because we'll have to get him actually out of there to get it all ready, and he is virtually welded to the sofa. I'll have to tell him the toilet that has never seen a loo brush has created a health hazard or something. Anyway, this is my design for the party. Invitation. Rock party! Saturday 12th of February at 8 p.m. And that means 8 p.m. and not turning up at like about 9 p.m. so you look cool, because Tilda is only allowed out till 9 p.m. So there has to be some party happening before she goes home, and not just me, Mom, and Jules standing around waiting for you lot. I just showed my mom my invitation and she said it is great, but that maybe I should just put 7 p.m. to make sure people come by 8 o'clock. I secretly think it's fine how it is, but she is being so helpful about the guest list and defrosting a quench that I have changed it in her honor. Saturday the 12th. Rock party day and day of something else amazing too, which you will find out when you read this. There is no way you'll believe this, but by just me saying it, so I have stuck the actual letter in here as factual proof. But I'm not cutting up my letter to fill this space, so instead I will fill it with big writing. Stella Boyd Limitada. Shoreditch House, Charles Square, London, N1 N20. 11th of February. Dear Lucy, it gives me great pleasure to inform you that you are the winner of the Hey Girls magazine fantasy fashion competition. I have had a very exciting week judging the entries, many of which were of an extremely high standard. However, yours instantly stood out as exceptionally imaginative and original. I love your design, Lucy, because it looks like nothing on earth. That's what I thought, but in a bad way. Firstly, you have dreamed up a whole new item of clothing. This shows that you have an extraordinary creative imagination. I am so showing this to Mr. McKain. Secondly, the areas of unfinished beading and the entirely independent necklines, combined with the long tear down the left side and the minute appearance of the left-hand corner, almost as if it had been chewed by a dog, have been so carefully planned and executed as to seem accidental. It was in fact accidental. Shh. The combination of avant-garde futurism and 20th flapper girl retro is exciting in itself, but you also manage to simultaneously encompass the beauty of the classical form and the I just realized that in my subconsciousness I totally meant to do that stuff she's saying. Destruction of that form in an exquisite interplay that constantly questions the relationship between the making process and the completed article. Thirdly, you have added a whole new dimension to the design, that of smile. This is an incredibly bold and original move. I'm not sure I would have it is duck slobber and parps chosen the particular smile myself, but I will be fascinated to find out what it is. It is duck slobber and parps. I'm very much looking forward to meeting you on Wednesday, 16th of February. Alicia Short, editor of Hey Girls magazine, will be in touch to finalize the details. With best wishes, Stella Boyd. So I was just sitting here looking absolutely gobsmacked and flabbergasted when Mom wandered in going, "Have you pinched my best mag silver nail polish again?" She insists she's not making an effort, especially for the party tonight. But that is honestly just happens to be time to give herself a facial, manicure, pedicure, and leg wax. Anyway, she knew something was up straight away. I must have looked all pale and trembly with the flabbergasted gobsmacked death, because when she saw the letter on the table, she dashed over and put her arms around me. "Oh, darling, I know how disappointed you must be," she said, kissing me on top of the head. "But there have been other competitions. You did your best, but things have been very difficult for you, and—" "No, Mom," I managed to whisper through the gobsmacked flabbergastation. "I won!" Then I showed her the letter and she totally freaked. She pulled me up and we started screeching and whooping and doing this mad happy dance around the kitchen. That was mainly hugging each other and jumping up and down. Then Alex came in to see what the noise was about and Mom screamed, "Alex, your sister won the competition." The first thing he said, of course, was, "When you're famous and make loads of money, will you buy me a cool car and that?" But then he joined in the happy dance. When we were totally puffed out, Mom hugged me tight and went, "I'm so proud of you, Lou. Tonight will be a double celebration." So now, instead of defrosting one quench, she is busy making lots of fresh ones with veggies and bacon and ham and that. A minute ago, she was trying to sculpt mushrooms with her new kitchen devil's sparking knife, so they looked like my winning design. But I have convinced her that I don't need a special fantasy fashion celebration quench and that normal ones are okay. There is also the fact that I don't need a mother who is missing a finger. I was just thinking, hee, she hasn't noticed it's 11 a.m. and I'm still in my pajamas, when I got struck by a terrible thought, as if by lightning. Terrible thought! The terrible thought is that Now I have won the competition and the ticket problem is bad. How can I take Jules to London and not Tilda, or Tilda and not Jules? How can I choose? How will I manage to make them not like me again? Worse, they are coming over at 2 to put on the groovy rock chick outfits and make up before we have to go and set up the party at Dad's flat. I have even made us cool matching tops with my t-shirt printing set. I just talked to Mom about the ticket thing and she said, well, don't worry, love. Just mention the magazine editor when she rings that you need 2 tickets to the fashion show rather than 1. I'm sure she'll understand the problem of having 2 best friends. And please go and get dressed. It's past 11. So I told Mom that as she's not a fashion guru like me, she won't know that pajamas are the new clothes because not dressed is the new dressed. But she didn't believe me, so I am going to go and get dressed now. Bye! Ha! I was just about to go upstairs when the phone rang, and it was Alicia Short. Alicia was totally cool to phone me straight up, even though it is a Saturday, which office people don't normally work on. I told her I didn't mind any more than she didn't print my reader's most embarrassing moments letter, and I could tell she was relieved about that. So then I asked her about that extra ticket, and the best news is that I can bring 2 friends to the fashion show because I myself won't in fact need a ticket. That's weird. I mean, how will I not need a ticket? Maybe I will have a pass for being with Stella Boyd or something. Yippee! Oh, I have just thought that I didn't have to choose between Jules and Tilda ever, and all the time I would have had 2 tickets and they never had to not like me. But then I suppose I wouldn't have been forced to sit next to Simon Driscoll when we were doing Empty World. And then I wouldn't have found out that he is quite funny and okay boy. I decided to invite him to the rock party in the end because he was nice to sit with me when I had no BFF. But I wrote on the back of the invitation that he could only bring 1 geeky minion because of space issues. Secretly, it is also because of style issues because too many GMs will dilute the cool vibe. Also, with only 1 geeky minion to do the harmonies, Simon Driscoll might stop singing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds whenever I go by, which he has been driving me crazy by doing all week. I have to go now because I'm ringing Nan to tell her about winning the comp and thank her for all her advice and her leftover bits of material and that. Still Saturday. A bit later, pretending I'm going to the loo while Tilda and Jules are reading mags in my room, but secretly quickly writing this before we go over to Dad's flat to set up the rock party. So I just have to tell you this quickly. Tilda and Jules came over and I told them the fab news of winning the comp and about getting 2 tickets. We had another totally mad happy dance with much more girly squeals than with Mom and Alex, but then it didn't turn out to be such fab news because when I said the London trip was on Wednesday, Tilda said, but my dad won't let me miss school. She didn't even bother ringing him because she knew there would be no point, even with buying her the makeup set. Tilda's dad is still really stricty about most things. Jules did instantly ring up her parents, but to our amazement, her dad said sorry, but that after the holiday to Spain, she couldn't miss any more school. So after all the ticket horribility and after I had in fact got 2 tickets, neither of my BFF can come. I think that is known as irony, which we did about in English. We were all really sad then, but we tried to cheer ourselves up by getting ready for the party. It didn't work much though, because although we looked cool, our faces were like wet Wednesdays. Unhappy faces, groovy outfits. Then I went downstairs when Mom had stopped making quinches but had started on sausage rolls. It took her a minute to recover from seeing me in my rock chick gear because I looked completely teenage, like say about 16, but then I told her about the problem. She said, I know it's disappointing, Lee, but don't let it spoil things for you. You'll just have to take someone else. And I went, but who else would want to spend an afternoon with other Dinah and go to a fashion show with me? She smiled and said, oh, I'm sure you can think of someone. I thought really hard, but I could only think of maybe Augusta Rinaldi and one of her lot. But then they might spend the day in a two without me. And anyway, they are more into sport than fashion. I told this to Mom, and she sighed and said, think a bit closer to home, Lucy. But I still couldn't think of anyone except Nan. And we all know she doesn't do London anymore. Mom put a tray of sausage rolls in the oven and leaned back on the kitchen counter with her hands on her lips and went, can you really think of no one else except who is into fashion and would love dearly to share in your very exciting day? Then I suddenly got it and went, oh, you mean you? I'm such a der brain sometimes. Then Mom said as there are 2 tickets, she would bring someone. And I got all panicky and went, oh, no, not a date or anything, because I don't want anyone I'll know there. And I know he's not here and that, but what about that? And Mom laughed and went, Lucy, I was thinking of bringing your dad. I blinked at her, but you don't like each other. How can you want to spend the whole day together? Mom took off her oven gloves and gave me a hug, but not too tight in case she smudged me. My purple lipstick and black eyeshadow. Lou, I'm sure your father and I can put our differences aside to come and share in our daughter's special day, she said, unless he insists on singing all 6 verses of American Pie in the car, of course, because then I will be forced to kill him. So Mom and me were happy, and Tilda and Jules don't have time to be sad anymore. This is because at 4 o'clock Uncle Ken will take Dad to the pub and we are going over to get the party ready, so it will be all hands on deck, according to Mom. They are all ready to go now, so I have to come out of this bathroom and get a shift on. Also, according to Mom, who is outside. Sunday afternoon, only 14 minutes until Dad comes over and takes me and Alex out for a family walk. So that's only 14 minutes to tell you what happened last night at the rock party, which was a lot, so I will have to do this in as highlights. 1. Dad was totally surprised by the surprise party, and we all yelled surprise to make it extra surprising. For once he was speechless, but then big grin on his face said, a lot. Then I took him about the fashion comp, and he was over the moon for me. I asked him to come to London, and he straight away said yes. But then he remembered that he's leaving on Tuesday, so he can't. He went really sad and wobbly looking then, and so did I. So the change to subject, I explained about what was in all Mom's different quenches instead. 2. Most people had cool rock and roll stuff on for the party except Simon Driscoll and his chosen geeky minion guest. Then turned up in their usual duffel coats but carrying actual rocks, which they thought was hilarious. Jules was about to think that I have invited Simon Driscoll because I fancied him, but luckily... 3. Total newsflash, Dog Boy was at the party. I wanted my BFF for support, so I told Jules and Tilda about my crush and the embarrassment that had happened. And I said sorry that I was too embarrassed to tell them earlier. Jules was going to be moody about me not telling her before, but then I let her be the investigator, so she forgave me. By investigating, she found out that one of my dad's friends is Dog Boy's actual dad, and that why he's here and why he was there, and also that his actual name is Austin. I was still mortified from my reader's most embarrassing moment, so I tried to hide behind tall people whenever he looked over at me. Then he suddenly came over and went, hey, you're that groovy girl I met in the park, aren't you? I went, no, I am that doofy girl you met, actually. But, amazement, he said he liked me being just myself and not trying to act cool like most girls do. I nearly dropped down dead on the spot with total happiness, but instead I managed to go, yeah, I hate it when people try to act cool, too, especially when they write out actual plans for it. Then I quickly made a secret promise to myself in future that I will just be more in front of lush lads and not make any more pooch plans or whatever. 4. I took my karaoke set to the party, and me and Jules sang Bye Bye Baby on It for Dad, which we have been practicing for about 1 week. Tilda is way too shy to sing in front of people. Obviously, that is not an actual baby, but there aren't any songs that go Bye Bye Dad. Dad got up then, and he was going to do all the verses of American Pie, but Mom threatened to embed a sausage roll in his head. 5. About 10 o'clock, someone thinked a knife on a glass, which is what you do when you want people to shut up and listen. It really worked. The teachers should try that at school. Dad got up and said congratulations to me about the competition in front of everyone, and they all clapped, which made me just go zing inside. Then he said about how touched he was by us doing the party and by how Mom and me and Alex were all supporting him in following his dream. Then I said a most shocking and incredible thing, which was that he realized how he couldn't bear to leave us, and so he was going to stay after all, and that he would make an effort to make that work out better than recently. I heard Mom mutter, well, childcare a couple of nights a week would do for starters. So I knew she was going to make Dad stick to his word. Oh, that is the doorbell going. Bring. So I know that 14 minutes are up. That must already be changing his ways, being exactly on time. I really, really hope this making an effort thing does work out, because I am so excited that he's staying now. And I just want to forget all about him going away. When I asked Mom what she is going to do while we're out, she smiled and said, absolutely nothing. That seems like a weird way to use your one bit of free time. But anyway, that's Mom's for you. Bye! Monday the 14th of February, which means Valentine's Day! Well, wow, today I got 3 whole Valentine's cards. I found the first one on the doormat this morning. For almost a minute I got excited because I thought it was from someone beginning with DB, but then I realized that the post doesn't come so early and that there was no stamp on the envelope. Also, when I opened it, this is what I found. It was so bad it looked like it had been drawn by an 8-year-old. Inside it says, to Lou, I love you even though, though, if you smell of poo. From a secret admirer. That's when I realized it actually had been drawn by an 8-year-old, i.e. Alex, because who else but your little bro will put that you smell of poo in a Valentine's card? I told him the card was not nice, but also factually inaccurate, as I do not smell of poo. But of course he pretended he didn't know what I was on about. This is because he would never admit to liking me at all in normal life, let alone being my secret admirer. Still, I have hidden a Valentine's Mars bar under his pillow anyway as a thank you. The second one was in my desk when I got to school. Again, I hoped it was from Dark Boy, but then I realized it couldn't have magically flown in there from King Alfred's. Anyway, when I opened it, I saw actual valves and arteries and that WW realistic. Happy Valentine's Day. There was nothing written inside, just some more WW realistic hearts, but obviously I knew straight away who it was from, so I said thanks to Simon Jusket in the corridor at the start of break, and also sorry I didn't get him one. I explained that kids, we are just sort of friends with no fancying going on at all. I didn't think I had to. He did this strange laugh and went, oh no, you entirely misunderstood my sentiments. It's not for Valentine's Day, but for good luck on Wednesday when you go to London. And I said, but you only just this second found out about that when I told Mr. Wright. And he did an announcement and a clap for me at the end of English. Then Simon Driscoll said, well, in that case, I must have physic powers. I was puzzled then. I said, but you think that physicness is stupid and also impossible. But instead of answering, Simon Driscoll looked at his wrist, even though there was no watch on it, and went, oh gosh, I'd better go to computer club. And then he walked away real fast. Weirdo. BTW, here is a tip for you. At school, it is the best to be actually going out with someone when Valentine's Days come around, because usually you get a box of matchmakers or something, otherwise you only tend to get cards. Tilda and Jules both got both ones from Charlie P, who they used to like, but neither of them were bothered because they stopped liking him when he went out with Emily Jackson. I was the messenger to tell this back to Charlie P, and he shrugged and said, that was a waste of $2.50 then, and went back to kicking this football round with Jamie Cousins. Emily Jackson chucked Charlie P in the holiday, and she is now going out with Ben Jones, who bought her a whole entire chocolate orange, even though you can actually get small bars of it now. Then, most amazing, when I got home, this was on the doormat. Inside it says, to Lucy, Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you can meet me in the park tomorrow after school because there is something I want to ask you. From Austin. He didn't put love or anything, but there was an X, so maybe I'm going to get a kiss. I wonder what he wants to ask me. I so hope it is what I think it is and not something about dogs. Mom got one from Dad that said this inside. Roses are red, violets are blue. Sugar is sweet, and I know we haven't been getting along, but when I really try to be more helpful, if you promise to stop nagging me so much, shoo. I said, that's good, isn't it? And Mom said, well, it doesn't exactly scan, does it? Anyway, I showed her my 2 new cards and asked if I could meet Austin tomorrow, which she said was fine as long as I was back before tea time and took my phone. Yay! With the trip to London and meeting Dog Boy, Austin, this is the most utterly exciting week of my life. I've just realized it's only 23 hours until I meet him, and I haven't even decided what to wear or how to do my hair or anything. Yikes! Gotta go. So I am writing this bit about my meeting up thing with Dog Boy so that Jules and Tilda can read about it without Mom and Dad hearing. When I got in last night, I had loads of homework to do, so Mom said no phoning them, even though it was completely urgent, as in being about boys. Ow. Jules had just nudged me and is doing as get on with the Dog Boy bit. Okay, Jules, I will. We went to the park and it was nice, and that was it. Jules has nudged me again and is now doing sorry about the eyes, so that I say it in more detail. Right, well, Austin turned up without the perfect Labrador and wearing black diesel jeans and a cool red t-shirt that said Harley Davidson on it. I said thanks for the card, and we talked about the rock party and what TV we liked and stuff, and then we mucked around on the swings for a bit, getting them to go quite high and then jumping off forwards. Then he sat down and his arm was sort of along the back of the bench, and so when I sat down I was sort of under it. Tilda is squealing about that. Well, Tilda, you will squeal even more when I tell you that he kissed me. Jules just went cool, and Tilda just went, he kissed you! And Mom just went, who kissed you? And the 3 of us just went, no one, at once, and then burst out giggling. Hang on, there is a roundabout, and we are going sideways. Okay, anyway, the kiss was amazing and fab and not even slightly like having your face sucked off by a thermometer. The one bad thing was when we both leaned our heads to the same way and bumped noses though. I was going to be mortified again, but then I remembered not to worry about acting cool, and so it was just kind of laughing thing and not an embarrassing thing. Then he asked me out, as in to his actual girlfriend. More squealing on both sides of me. And I said, ha ha ha, just keeping Tilda and Jules in suspense. And I said, hey, can we stop at the little chef? Oh, that is Jules nudging me again. And I said, drumroll, please. Yes! Now Tilda and Jules are going, eek! I got another kiss when it was time to go home too. Actually, now I do feel a bit travel sick, so I just told Mom that I am stopping writing this now. Dad has started singing, and Mom has told him to put a smelly sock in it. And Dad has said she never lets him express his creativity, and that it is why they split up. And Mom said that they split up over many things, but believe you me, Brian, your creativity was not one of them. I have told them both to stop bickering and behave themselves, otherwise no one will be going to the Hard Rock Cafe for hamburgers at lunchtime. Parents, they drive you crazy, don't they? Wednesday night. Oh, hang on. Actually Thursday morning because it's 12:04 a.m. I'm supposed to be asleep because it's school tomorrow, so I have to shove a towel in my gap under my door to block the light from my lamp. Not that Mom would know I was up, because she was so whacked out from all the London excitement that she went to bed at 10 o'clock after ringing just about every single one of her friends. I tried to fall asleep, but all the happenings from the morning's amazing day kept on zapping round in my head, so I'm writing them down in here. Okay, so this is what happened. My parents behaved well enough to rest of the way to London, to earn back their hamburger privileges, and so we went to the Hard Rock Cafe for lunch, which was way cool. We left the car at Kew and told the tube to Green Park because Dad said parking is hard in the middle of London. It was funny because we changed onto the Piccadilly line at South Kingston, and this announcement came over going, "Stand clear of the doors, please," a few times in this really official voice, and then it said, "I'm talking to the man in the black leather jacket with his elbows sticking out. For God's sake, stand clear of the bloomin' doors." And then we realized it was Dad, but we had to pretend not to notice because it would have spoiled his cool acting thing, although I did catch Mom rolling her eyes. After lunch, Dad went up to the special Guitar Street and me. Jules, Tilda, and Mom took the tube down to Sloane Square. It was really cool because there was the massive exhibition with all different designs and stuff, and normally you aren't allowed in unless you are in actual industry of fashion. But the people on the doors knew we were from the Hey Girls Fantasy Fashion competition, so that was okay. The nice lady showed us to the British Fashion Council tent, and we got up the stagey bit and Stella Boyd came out. I had spent most of last night working out all these interesting things to say, but in the actual situation I was completely silencio. I think it was just because Stella Boyd is so cool and beautiful and talented, I got a bit freaked out. But luckily Mom found some words and started going on about how excited I was and how hard I'd worked for the competition. I was a bit embarrassing, like I was 5 and couldn't talk for myself, but better than total and utter silence. Stella Boyd said she likes Mom eyeshadow, and Mom looked in utter happiness. Then Mom introduced Tilda and Jules and said that they were coming to the fashion show. Stella Boyd gave them the tickets, and then she also said that as Mom was there as well, she could put her name on the guest list so she could come too. Well, Mom was in even more mega happiness about this, and every time she had phoned one of her friends since we got back, she'd say, "Well, Stella put my name on the door." Like they have known each other for about 7 years and not just one actual day. Then Mom and Jules and Tilda went to look around the exhibition, and I was left with Stella Boyd. It was 1.5 hours till the fashion show actually started, and I was going to see all the process that happens before it. My voice was still missing, but I didn't have to worry because Stella Boyd started saying about how fab my outfit was and how there was loads to do, so I should just soak it all up and ask any questions. And would I like a Diet Coke? I managed to say, Yes, so that at least. When we got backstage, Stella Boyd clapped her hands and shouted, "Listen up, people! This is Lucy, the winner of the Hey Girls magazine fantasy fashion competition." Everyone called out, "Hi, Lucy!" and then straight away went back to having their hair and makeup done and walking around in their underwear being massively tall. That was the models mainly. Well, I couldn't possibly describe all the things I saw, so I have drawn pictures. Gorgeous designs, this model Jodie being hairstyled by Lola, this other model Kia getting her makeup done by Hans, this model Lilia already in her first change, this assistant of Stella's, Roberto, running around like mad. Stella's hats! Stella showed me around and explained all the stuff that was going on. All the time people were coming up and asking her things, and she knew the answers straight away, just like that. Then there was a journalist, so she had to have a quick interview, and she said to me to sit myself over there. Sweetie, it was in a hairdresser chair. And the next thing, this guy called Hans was doing my makeup, and this girl called Lola was doing my hair. In between blasts of hair dryer, and that I could hear Stella saying things like, "Wow, it's all down to hard work and being prepared to start at the bottom." I filed that away in my brain as a useful thing to know for my future career. Then Stella Boyd had to go and look at final fittings or something, but luckily I found my voice and I told Hans about my design ideas and all the stuff that had been going on with Mom and Dad and about the rock party and that. Then Hans was done and Stella was back and she loved my crazy new look. I said, "This style is so groovy. I'm going to sleep sitting up so it lasts till tomorrow and then give Mr. McKain a total freak out at school." Stella was smiling all mysteriously and she said, "Lucy, I have a surprise for you. Did you wonder why you don't need a ticket to the fashion show?" "Maybe because you're giving me a special pass," I said. Then I felt instantly mortified because that's a bit like asking for one, which is rude. Stella smiled even more and said, "Go over to that rack and bring me hanger number 18. I didn't know why she'd suddenly gone off the ticket topic and asked me to start fetching and carrying stuff for her, but with mega creative people, you sometimes don't know what's going on in their mind. So anyways, I went over and found hanger 18 and on it was my design. Keep going with my designs because one day I will make it big. I wouldn't normally write that because it looks a bit like I'm all full of myself, like some Indriska Tricons I am. But that is honestly what she said. Anyways, after that, we looked around the exhibition for a bit with Jules and Tilda showing me some of the cool things they'd found before. I was still in my outfit with the cool hair and everything, and loads of people gave me a double look like I was a model. It was so cool. When we all got back to the car, Dad was waiting for us with a new guitar, but he didn't get to sing any verses of American Pie because we were all talking at once, telling him what had happened and explaining why I looked like I was probably about 19. He was so proud of me that he treated us all like to the little chef for dinner halfway home. And me and Jules and Tilda all had the same thing, chicken, to show we are a 3. We all saved our lollies for Alex because he didn't get to come to London, but then we ate them on the A352 because I remembered that he had in fact got the treat of staying at Matthew's for supper. He likes that because normally it includes potato waffles, and they also practice their karate, which is 10% what they have learned in the club, but 90% what they have made up. Also, we were hungry again by then. I have to go now because suddenly I am really, really tired. Thursday after school. Round my dad's while he is watching Behind the Music on Sky. Mom made me remove most of the makeup except some of the sparkly eyeshadow that it said wouldn't come off. I didn't wipe it exactly hard, but plus she made me flatten my hair down, but I was allowed to leave the cool red streaks in it Just for one day, when Mr. Kane saw me at break in the corridor, his feet nearly boiled with fury in his sergeant major's shoes. But there had been a special bit in assembly where Mr. Phillips, the head, said about me winning the competition and everyone clapped, so he had to let me off. Shame he didn't take the black raised eyebrow he did at me. But then I didn't think he would. In science, Mr. Steppen got everyone to give me a clap too, and when she came round to check our salt crystals, she said, "Well done, Lucy. What an achievement. And who knows, maybe now you'll be able to focus on your work." I gave her a big grin and went, "Absolutely. Now I've got this far, I'm going to really focus on my work. I've got loads of ideas for new designs." And Mrs. Steppen sighed and went, "Lucy, I was referring to your work in science." She walked away, shaking her head, but she was smiling a little smile, so I know I'm still today totally her favorite, even though she can't say it straight out. I went round Dad's after school, which is where I am now writing this, because Mom was working late to make up for yesterday, and Alex was at karate. I shoved through the doorway with all my stuff, and Dad made me a cup of tea. I told him about Mr. Kane and getting a clap in assembly. Then he played me some stuff on his new guitar. He's getting quite good now, in fact. I remember when he first started, and I wished my ears were extendable out the window so I didn't have to listen. Then I knew he was going to say something serious because he put the guitar actually down and went, "Lucy, I've been thinking," which is not exactly normal for him. Then he said the serious thing, which was, "You're 12 and you've already achieved one of your ambitions. Have you got any advice for me?" Wow, my actual dad wants me to give advice to him. I didn't want to mess it up and just say anything, so I thought of what Stella Boyd told the interviewer and went, "Well, it's mainly all about hard work and starting at the bottom." Dad burst out laughing for some reason. "What?" I said, feeling shirty because you shouldn't ask for advice and then laugh about it. "That is honestly true because Stella Boyd said so." "Oh, I know," he said. "You're absolutely right. I'm just stunned that I've managed to have a daughter who is so wise when I'm such an idiot. You must get in from your mother." I was really happy about that because it was a nice comment about Mom after all the falling out and arguing they must have been doing. Then I asked him something that's been bothering me, which was, "I know you've promised to do more stuff to help Mom out and that, but do you think you'll be able to be friends? I mean, like, proper friends, and not just pretending for the sake of the child and the very nearly teenager?" Dad looked at me a bit stunned. But I carried on, "Because I'm glad you're staying, but I want things to be truly okay, like they were when we went to London, but with even less actual arguing from you two." Dad nodded. "Fair point," he said. "We're getting there, Lou, and when we mess up, we'll just have to try harder, because I really want to stick around." "Me too," I said. "I mean, even though I am totally grown up and that, I still like having you around, you know." Then there was a bit of silence where we both had a stare at Dad's pants drying on the radiator. But I wasn't worried anymore. Then Dad said, "You know, Lou, what you said about hard work and starting at the bottom has given me an idea. I'm going to apply for the job at Wicked FM. It's in music, but it's still in the town, and I could lead to other things. Just look where the fantasy fashion competition took you. I can't believe I have inspired my own actual dad." So I told him to go for it, because who knows what will be round the corner. That is also a phrase like up my street, because round the actual corner there is just a newsagent and a dry cleaners. So I have got everything crossed for my dad and the radio station job. I had to uncross my fingers to eat my dinner, obviously, but they are still crossed inside my head. My dinner was leftover curry again, but this time I didn't feel one bit sick after eating it. When Dad finishes watching Behind the Music on Sky and I finish writing this, he's dropping me around at Jules. She reckons she needs some help with her maths homework, and because we were both respecting Tilda's feelings that people should do their own homework themselves, I'm the only one left to help her, even though I am rubbish at it. At home, after the amazing... Nah, hang on. I think I'll keep you in suspense. Well, wow, I got to Jules and Tilda, and Jules has thrown me a surprise fantasy fashion party in Jules' room to celebrate the total coolness of yesterday. They gave me a Teen Witch kit as a present, and it is so cool. Plus, we had loads of nice party food to eat, like scotched eggs, which are basically eggs inside sausages, inside breadcrumbs, and Watsits and those tappers things that are always lurking in Jules' fridge because her family is Spanish. The tappers are mainly aubergines in sauce and really hot spicy mystery thing in batter. We put Jules' parents' salsa music on and went crazy pretending to be all Spanishly fierily and passionate, and Humberto ran around barking. After the comp, he is so my favorite dog in the world. Then Tilda did that thinking of glass with a knife thing, and Jules called out, "Speech! Speech!" So I had to think of one just straight out of my head. I can't remember it exactly, but it was sort of like this. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen, thank you for my cool party, and thank you to Tilda and Jules for being my cool BFF. In the last few weeks, I have done lots of plans. There was the pooch plan, the fake agent plan made up by Jules, and the rock party plan. There was also the facility fashion competition plan, which went totally wrong. I never thought I would win it, but with a little help from my fave pooch, Humberto, I did it. And now I've started off as a fashion designer, and even though I am going out with Dog Boy, I mean Austin, and Dad is staying, and you two are my BFF again, my career is much more important than boys and parents and friends. I had to stop them because Jules and Tilda started hitting me with pillows for saying my career is more important than them. Then we had a pillow fight, and I was giggling and shouting that I was only joking in the speech because nothing in the world ever will be more important than my two BFFs. And you know what? I really mean it, because when you've got good mates like these two, you just know you can achieve anything you want to in this actual life. Oh, look, I'm running out of pages in the journal. I promise I'll buy a new one on Pronto, which is Spanish for mega quickly, BTW, and put more secret girl stuff in it. But for now, I will say a big bye and see you soon. With love from Lucy Jessica Hartley, XXXX. Wow, my Hey Girls mag just came out, and look what I found inside. How totally fab is this? Hey girls, meet Lucy Jessica Hartley, winner of our outrageous fantasy fashion competition. So, Lucy, what was it like meeting Stella Boyd? So cool! I got a big tongue twisted at first because she is so talented and famous, but after a while, we were totally like friends. And what did you most enjoy about the day? All of it. Going down the runway in my fantasy fashion design was mega fabulissimo. My makeup was amazing, and I was way tall because of the huge heels and big hair. I felt about nearly 18. Time to spill the beans to our Hey Girls readers. Lucy, is there a special boy in your life right now? There is someone, but I am not seeing him completely, non-stop, like some girls do with boys. Even though he is a really good kisser, instead I am going to focus on my design. I don't know what my next big challenge will be yet, but I can't wait to find out. While we at Hey Girls magazines are sure that whatever Lucy does next, it will be just as creative, exciting, and as fun as she is. Lucy Jessica Hartley's fashion quiz. Do you follow the fashion crowd, freestyle with your own look, or feel like a frump? Find out with my fab quiz. 1. You think a tankini is a yarn, so it's already on the way out. B. Cool bikini with a vest style top half. Great for girls who, like me, are waiting for their you-know-what to get a move. C. A small tank? Anyway, why are you asking me questions about the army? Isn't this meant to be a style quiz? 2. You've spent hours getting ready to meet your new boyf, but then your dad tells you he likes your look. Do you A. Scream in horror, run upstairs and change immediately? B. Smile smugly to yourself. Your accessories, extra makeup, and hair mascara are safely tucked away in your bag for later. See, thank him, but you're not surprised. After all, he chose your outfit. Number 3. Which of these types or tops do you like best? A, B, or C? Mostly A's. Style slave! You've got your finger on the pulse of fashion, but have you got a life? Reading fashion mags and bargain hunting are great fun, but make sure you've got other interests too. Remember, looks aren't everything. Mostly B's. Style queen, like Lucy. You love looking good and know what suits you. You're great at putting original combos together and enjoy sharing your fashion sense with friends. But you also know the world won't end if you slop out in slick pants. Well done, the perfect balance. Mostly C's. Style, what's that? Eek! While you've got plenty of other talents, your fashion sense is sub-zero. But don't despair. Ask a style-savvy friend to come to the rescue. Once you find out what suits you, you can chuck out those frumpy clothes. Totally secret info about Kelly McKain. The author lives in a small flat in Chickswind, West London, with a fridge full of chocolates. Life's ambition? To be a showgirl in Paris 100 years ago. Not really possible, that one. Okay, then to be a writer, so I am actually doing it. Yay! And also to get on a flying trapeze. Star sign, Capricorn. We're meant to be practical. Who would you most like to be stuck in a lift with? A lift repairman, see star sign. Oh, and he'd have a full lift fixing toolkit and a giant Toblerone. Fave color, purple. Fave animal, monkey. Ideal pet, a purple monkey. Best buy, yellow checked night dress. I wear it as a sundress for all 2 minutes of the British summer. Fave hobbies, hanging out with my BFF and gorge boy, watching Friends, going to yoga and dance classes, and playing my guitar as badly as Lucy's dad. I hope you enjoyed Totally Lucy Fantasy Fashion as much as I did. This is an amazing book to listen or to read. And bye, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment down below. Bye, see you next time.